Hey everybody, welcome back to Vegas Weekly for Saturday, January the 15th, 2022. Hope that your week, month, and year are going well so far. It has been a challenging start to 2022, but I guess we're kind of getting used to this. So hopefully things are going well with you and your family. If you're feeling a bit under the weather, as so many people are nowadays, hopefully the next 15 minutes will serve as a distraction and some sort of entertainment with a Vegas-related theme. And we're going to focus today on what I'll call sort of online Vegas interaction, the social media world. We're going to kind of view that a little bit through the lens of our Vegas Tips and Tricks Facebook group. I think probably most of you who are subscribed to this channel, who are on Facebook at least, and that some people are not, and that's certainly understandable, are probably also members of our Facebook group. Vegas Tips and Tricks has had a lot of different sort of places that we have dabbled with on social media over the years. There's an Instagram that occasionally gets a photo. We created a TikTok back in September, and we haven't done much with that lately, but it did get me hooked on watching silly TikTok videos, so I guess it accomplished something, right? We're pretty active, or at least interactive, on the Twitter account, which is always fun. But, you know, we've had a website, and heck, we've had everything short of Pinterest. But outside of this channel, and in fact, in many ways, far eclipsing this channel has been our Facebook group, which makes a certain amount of sense because it really was the sort of birthplace of Vegas tips and tricks as a concept. Many of you have heard the story before, so I'll condense it down. I created the group, added a bunch of friends and family members who regularly like to ask me questions about Las Vegas, and figured I could just throw in a bunch of tips over the course of a few months. And anytime anybody asked me a question, I could just, refer them to the group, and they could read all of my wisdom, which, as most of you know, shouldn't really take that long. Yeah, we played around with that. I think we did a Vegas tip every day for like a year and a half, which is a bit challenging. I know my friend Mark, who's taken up that mantle and has been doing a Vegas video tip more or less daily, but frequently, can attest to the fact that, sure, those first few dozen are pretty easy, and then it starts getting a little more challenging to come up with something new and interesting. But the group over time began to grow for whatever reason. And my thought was that it wasn't necessarily supposed to be just sort of some sort of vanity group. And there's a number of those out there, and there's nothing wrong with that. But it wasn't simply there to promote me or my interests or my other dabbles in social media, but could hopefully be a useful tool for people visiting Vegas, whether for the first time or for the 40th time. And by and large, we've achieved that goal at a much greater level than I would have ever imagined. I was shocked when we got to 500 members, and this past year we hit 50,000. I think we're at around 54,000 and continuing to grow slowly but surely. Based on the research that I've done, there's maybe a dozen Vegas-related Facebook groups that are in the sort of 50,000 plus category. So generally speaking, it's one of the larger groups on Facebook. And of course, being on Facebook, it suffers from a number of Facebook's rules, guidelines, if you will, and that makes it challenging at times to manage. But I just kind of wanted to, I guess, go on a little bit of a rant today. And let me be clear that the rant is directed at probably less than 1% of the people who've joined the Facebook group, and have done so, obviously, for reasons other than their interest in Las Vegas, or perhaps more appropriately, their interest in providing information to others about Las Vegas or learning something about Las Vegas. There is, of course, in any sort of online forum, there's going to be quite a variety of people. I can remember back some 20 years ago, probably, first encountering people online who were interested in Las Vegas. You know, you had these sort of bulletin boards, forums. The one that I was always sort of closest to and contributed to the most back in the day, and it's still around, I logged into it today just to see, was VMB, Vegas Message Board. J.R. Swift was for a time a very active member of that particular forum and that particular group. And I thought by and large it was a pretty well run and operated bulletin board. And I learned a lot from it, and I think hopefully contributed something to others' knowledge of Las Vegas as well, or at least shared my experiences. That was back when you didn't have vlogs per se, but you had a lot of trip reports, and there was always plenty of trip reports, and that provided a lot of entertainment during those downtimes, which in some cases back in those days might be an entire year that I couldn't get to Vegas myself. But yeah, I mean, I'm sure have been dozens of forums out there over the years, and dozens of bulletin boards and Facebook groups, etc. But there are these sorts of people that feel the need to get involved in these groups that are less than useful members of the community, you might say. And so I thought I would point a few of them out. If you're watching this video because you saw it on the Facebook group, because I do post the Vegas related stuff there, and I'm going to probably not only post this, but pin it for a period of a few weeks, because I think it's useful for new members and maybe returning members to see some of what those of us on the inside of the group deal with on a daily basis. And it is not simply my group, which was also a decision that I made a couple of years ago. But there are many people that are involved on a day-to-day basis, moderating the group, seeing who we allow into the group, responding to concerns about inappropriate postings or comments or responses, and having to deal with those things more or less. And Facebook themselves can make that fun and entertaining by flagging certain comments or posts that they feel are inappropriate. And so we have to kind of follow the rules there, or we face a number of penalties and the possibility of having to moderate every single post that goes up on the board, which would not have been too difficult 3 years ago, would be pretty difficult today with thousands of posts and comments going up on a weekly basis. But there are on any of these forums going to be people who are rather, shall we say, dense. Or perhaps they are a special kind of troll, I don't know. But people who don't seem to understand how simple it would be, and in fact, that it would be much simpler to simply type a question into Google than to ask it in a forum. Or perhaps just to look at previous questions that have been raised in the group, which almost inevitably cover the topic that they're asking about. You know, there's always questions about what the weather is going to be like on a particular day. Well, we posted, and many of us have posted a weather chart for Las Vegas for the course of an entire year, what to expect at any particular time. But that, seems like it's too much trouble for people to check that out. What's the best way to get from the airport to your hotel? Well, there's 3 or 4 options, and they've all been covered probably in the last couple of weeks by someone else's questions. And then, of course, there's the question of, is this hotel any good? Well, guess what? You're going to get answers that say yes and answers that say no. So there are a lot of times that people ask, well, for lack of a better, kind of dumb questions. And, you're allowed to ask dumb questions in the Facebook group. It's not officially listed in the Bill of Rights because that doesn't exist. This is not a democracy. You have no rights. It's my group, and myself, along with the other moderators, make the decisions on what goes and what does not go, along with Facebook, of course. But you can ask dumb questions, expect to get a bunch of dumb answers. But why do people feel the need? Why do you feel the need when you see a dumb question to insult the person that asks it? Do you have nothing better to do? Do these people have nothing better to do? So you obviously have people who are, innocently in some cases asking very simple questions, which, quite frankly, it'd be easier to just Google it, guys. But you're going to get the answer that you should Google it. Just expect that. You're also going to get answers that you're not going to like because people in online forums can be jackasses, okay? And some people in the groups are professionals at this. And apparently they like to troll this group and probably hundreds of others. We do get requests for membership from people that are in like 347 groups or something. It's like, who's got time for that? So, don't be that person. Because if you're consistently getting into threads and leaving comments that are basically insults and calling names, and not only that, but really just sort of inciting other people to have these ridiculous online spit spats, then just leave, okay? If you continue to do that, you're going to get kicked out of the group anyway. It's just going to waste our time doing it. So don't. To the, again, 1% of people that do that. Most people that join the group join it because they're thinking of going to Vegas at some point in the near future. They ask a few questions. They interact with it for a while. They get kind of tired of it, or they go to Vegas. They come back. They're kind of done. They might be in the group, but they really don't ever interact anymore. That's probably 50% or more of the people in the group. So... but, there are those who are professional jackasses, and there's probably people that are just out there trolling, trying to get something started. You know what? There's not a one of us in the sort of moderators of the group that make a dime off of the group. There's no money in it, okay? There's not a secret slush fund. We don't get any advertiser dollars for running the Facebook group. It would be nice, those of us who have other social media presence like this channel, and I'm not the only moderator, admin who has a channel. Certainly Andy and Simone, Good Times Productions. Andy was the very first moderator, still probably our best moderator, and the one who's got the most experience. He has a channel. I know our friend Kathy Grant, who's a moderator, has a channel. I mean, I'm leaving people out. And I hope that those people, when they see this video, the other moderators in the group, will put a link to their channel in the group sometime in this next week, because I'd like to pin all of those links. And I would like to ask those of you who are members of the group and who participate in the group in a positive way for one thing, and that is, can you reach out on your Google account and just subscribe to these channels? You don't have to watch the videos, but it really helps to have those subscription numbers, and it really makes those of us who are participating in putting the group together feel like we're really doing something or accomplishing something. So in addition to not being a troll, to not being a jackass, and behaving in a reasonable fashion, as you would, hopefully, in the real world when you're active within the group, do us the courtesy. I mean, we've got 54,000 members, and most of us are sitting with, couple of thousand subscribers, a few hundred subscribers in some cases. So just as a small token of appreciation, if the group has been helpful to you, if you could subscribe to our channels, not just mine, but the other ones you'll see listed below this as the week moves along. It would be much appreciated. So yeah, this isn't meant entirely to be just complaining. It's not meant to be complaining. I think all of us who've watched this group grow over the years have been very gratified by the number of people that have wanted to be a part of it, and also by the amount of positive feedback that we get. But again, keep in mind we do the best we can to throw out the people that make the experience bad for others. But we all pretty much have real jobs, real lives, and this Facebook group is only a small part of what we do. It's only a small part of our, online presence in most cases. So thank you in advance for your cooperation. Thank you in advance for clicking that subscribe button. Not just mine, but the other people whose channels will be posted below, and I will probably put a link to those channels. If not initially, at some point I'll put a link to it in the show notes for this video as well. I'm turning off the comments on Facebook for this because I don't want to get into spats with people and argue with them about this, that, or the other thing, because frankly, I don't care. Okay? I don't care. If you don't like the group, leave. Okay? There's 54,000 people. We can lose a couple of thousand. Nobody's gonna miss y'all. Okay? But otherwise, we appreciate those people who love Vegas and who've had an interest in building the group. And there are a lot of great people that ask good questions and try their best to answer the questions that others leave behind. So, all right, remember, behave yourselves out there, okay? Behave respectably. And treat others the way you'd like to be treated. And again, subscribe to these YouTube channels you're going to see. Those people are all working hard, not earning a dime, to help bring you this entertainment. For those of you not members of the Facebook group, I will try again to put a link to that in the show notes below if you'd like to join in with the madness. All right, we're going to wrap up this very special ranting edition of Vegas Weekly. Thanks again for the positive feedback on the North to Nebraska. Part 2 of that's coming up this Wednesday. And we'll be back again next Saturday with another episode of Vegas Weekly. Until then, I hope that you have a great, lucky, and healthy week. We'll see you all again real soon. Bye-bye.